What's up? What's good? It's your boy Aaron Lindsay. Thank you for coming back. For you first timers, we want to welcome you and thank you for clicking the link and joining us in this journey that we call The Process. We believe life is a process or a sequence of events that don't just happen randomly, but the smart kids like you in the class know that life is lived in and on purpose. We believe in providence, but we also believe in consequence. So choices matter. But before we get started, do me a favor, click the bell, subscribe, and share this link with anybody that you think would enjoy this video. Let's get started. Welcome to The Process. What's up? What's good? And what's next? Here we are in the year 2021. And we, as I said in the earlier video, survived the pandemic of 2020. Here we are in 2021. You made it. You're alive. Your life is moving forward. Life is moving at the speed of relationships. You've worked on your verticals. You're moving up. You're moving toward what's good. You got an awareness of where you are. And now you're thinking about what's next. A lot of us are in that space. I don't care what station of life you are, whether you're like me in the middle of your life, at halftime, you're thinking about the way to come out of the blocks for the next season of your life, or as I call it, I'm approaching fifth gear, or I am maintaining speed and burning less fuel. How do I get to my next? That's a question everybody wants to know. Next is connected to your purpose. It's connected to your destiny. It's not just ambition that makes you think about next. It's actually responsible to think about next. If you have a family, you're thinking about what are the next steps toward retirement? How can I take care of my loved ones when I'm no longer here? Insurance. How can I make sure that everybody that I love knows that I love them? There's nothing wrong with thinking about the next, and we should think about next. And I just want to encourage you that next is, it's a good thing. It's a good thing to think about the next. The future, it matters. It's okay to be innovative and think about how can I approach and address the next season of my life in a way that gets the maximum impact. Dr. Miles Monroe said the graveyard is the richest place in the world because people die with their dreams in them. And I want to encourage you that are thinking about the next to not allow your dreams to die with you, but to get them out of you so that when you do pass away and transition into eternity, you die empty because you expressed everything that God wanted you to express. But in this context of next, we can have a tendency to want to jump and leap when we really need to take next steps, little, small choices. The road to your next is going to be based on a series of good, small choices, daily decisions. You know, people that find themselves dealing with illness, there were choices they made sometimes that contributed to that. People that find themselves in financial strain, there were little choices that they made that contributed to that. People that are having relational problems, there were choices they either made or did not make. Little choices to either keep your mouth shut or clap back, which is more fun, but it's more damaging. But guys like me who've been married 23 years and want to be married until we die, we realize the best small step you can take is to shut your mouth or speak up when necessary. That's a choice too. Getting to your next will require the ability to make good decisions and to make them on a consistent basis based on what you know of the Lord. God will put you in situations, and life will put you in situations where there will be things that will happen that they're beyond your control. You had no choice in the matter. In fact, in the Bible, there's a parable of a man that sowed tares while people were sleeping. He had nothing to do with that. That wasn't because he mismanaged his life or his farm. Someone did it in the middle of the night. They was throwing shade. They was literally throwing shade, throwing tares, weeds in his field. And God said, just let them grow up together. Some of you are living in a season right now where stuff happened to you that you just had to let it grow up. And now that it's grown, you can separate the wheat from the tares. But it's a process. Little steps. Some of it you brought on, some of it you didn't. One thing I know is that God is going to order your steps, because the scripture says the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. And when he delights in his ways, capital H, basically when God delights in the steps that you take because he ordered them, I like how, I think it's the Message translation says, he busies himself. God busies himself in your every step. Your next steps are better when you allow God to get involved. Oh man, I can remember when my kids were young and they would want to do things. They want to play with something that was too heavy for them or something too big for them. And they would struggle to lift things up because they wanted to be independent. They wanted to do it on their own. And it was great to see them try to struggle to do it. As a parent, you're like, oh man, look at them try. But it got so much better for them when they let daddy come alongside and help them carry the weight. Man, wouldn't it be nice for us to trust the Lord enough to let him carry some of this weight? He said, cast your cares upon me, for I care for you. You know, the image is like, I'll use this water bottle. If this is my care, this is my weight, I'm carrying it. Oh, it's heavy. And I'm walking. And someone comes alongside and say, hey, Aaron, cast that on me. Let me carry it for you. When I give it to them, who has the weight now? They have it. It's no longer on my shoulder. Wouldn't it be bad for me to, number one, continue to walk like I got the weight on me? Would I look crazy? No weight, but I'm still walking like I got the weight on me. Or to ask the person, can you give me that back? Because I felt more comfortable when I had the weight on me. Some of us are going into our next with weights from the past. But the Lord said, cast that on me, man. I care for you. And some of us have gotten rid of the weight by the Spirit, but we haven't changed and adjusted our posture. I think God is telling you to stand up and walk into your next with your eyes wide open. Another part of your next is listening to the Lord, listening to the prompting of the Spirit on the inside of you. We talked about going the wrong direction in the last episode. I want to share a story, another story in my personal life. I was living in Houston, Texas, and a huge hurricane was coming. And we had those all the time, and we had rarely left. We just let it blow over. But this time, they were like, this is one of those big, nasty, ugly hurricanes you do not want to mess with. So the whole city decided they're going to evacuate, and my wife and I were looking at the news, trying to pray about what we should do. Now, if there was ever a time you need to be listening to God, it's in the midst of a doggone hurricane. So we decided we would go pray, and my kids were young, and we didn't know what to do. We had little nest egg savings. I had a young family. So well, let's just go. We'll leave. So I went to the hardware store and bought some wood planks and screwed them into the windows, because that's what everybody else was doing. I bought some sand and put it by the door so water wouldn't get in. They talked about flooding and how damaging it would be, and windows could break, and all the stuff that happens with a hurricane. So I did my preparation, but there was this inner peace that I had. And I know that peace came from this awareness that if God protected me before, that he was going to protect me now. He protected me when I was single and stupid. He protected me when I was in my sin and acting like a nut. Now that I'm living for him and I'm married and I've got children and the stakes are higher, what kind of God would leave me out here by myself? I trust in God enough to know that he loves me enough to protect me and my family. So there was this peace that passed my understanding. My understanding said there's a hurricane coming. But there was this peace that overwhelmed me, that God is going to order my next steps. But it frustrated the heck out of my wife. It frustrated her to no end, because she's like, what are we going to do? What's next? And I felt like a horrible person because I couldn't answer it. I didn't have all the details. I didn't know what was going to be the next move. I just knew as he would tell me to do things, I would do it. So what's next is I'm going to put another screw in the window. What's next is I'm going to put some sand at the door. What's next is I'm going to put some gas in the car. I don't know what's next. We'll leave. So let's pack. So then we would pack. And I mean, the day went on and it went on, and we just watching the news, and the cars are on the highway and people are leaving and my neighbors are leaving and they're boarding up everything and folks are waving bye-bye. We look crazy. We look like the ones in the apocalypse that's going to be stuck when everybody else is gone, you know? So I'm just sitting there going, Lord, what am I going to do? The hurricane was coming from the east in the Caribbean toward Houston. So everybody was running to the west toward Albuquerque, New Mexico, and to places to get away from the hurricane, because wisdom would say, go that way. Trouble coming this way, you go that way. That's just wisdom. Well, the next thing I hear from the Lord was, go eat. Go what? Huh? Hey, take your family to your favorite restaurant before you leave. I'm like, my favorite restaurant. So we go. I'm like, maybe it's gonna be a long journey. We need some food in our belly. You know, I don't know why. So I'm calmly say, hey guys, let's pack up. We pack the car. We go. We're gonna go eat at our favorite restaurant. We sit there. It's eerily quiet. Just us and the staff, I think. Got my nice little General Tso chicken, steamed rice, a little bit of vegetables. Little bit, mind you, a little bit, whole lot of meat and rice, and a little bit of vegetables. And we're sitting there eating, looking out of place because everybody else is in panic. Then the Lord said, go east. I said, huh? He said, go east. I said, say what? He said, I need you to go east toward the hurricane. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard the Lord tell you something ridiculous, but next is going to require you to trust God even when he tells you something you don't understand. I know I'm talking to somebody right now, because what you're facing and what you're going through, the wisdom that you have in your mind makes more sense than what God is saying. But some of y'all listening to me, God is telling you to do something out of the box. And if you got a track record with God, you better believe he's going to cover you. So we decide to go east. We get in our vehicle, our family and our assistant. We decide to go east. We get on the highway, and we are the only cars on the whole highway leaving Houston on I-10 going east. The Lord told me to go to Nashville. Go to Nashville so that if things happen, in my mind, this is how I rationalize it. Well, if I have to be here a long time, I can be in Nashville, I can work, I can make money. So I drive to Nashville, get on the highway, there's nobody on the road. I'm like, man, this is crazy. But if you've ever been in a hurricane, you know there's this long sustained period of extreme calm. Well, we're driving and there's no rain yet, no wind, and we drive. And I fall asleep. My assistant's driving. I'm relaxing. My family's relaxing. I wake up about 8 hours, 9 hours later. I slept all the way through. I wake up, ask my sister, where are we? He said, we just crossed the Tennessee border. I'm like, good Lord, I've been asleep a long time. I get on the phone and I call some of my friends who went the other way. Not to say they don't hear from the Lord, but they missed it this time, because I asked them, where are you guys? Man, we were an hour outside of Houston, stuck in traffic, bumper to bumper, running out of gas. And I don't wish bad on anyone. I do not wish that on anyone. But I'm so grateful that God told me to go the other way. And not only am I grateful God told me to go the other way, I'm grateful that in the face of that ridiculous instruction, that I trusted him enough to know that he knew what was best for me next. Not only did I get to Nashville safely in a short amount of time because nobody was on the roads, I got there and realized that there was a client I worked for out of Nashville that had a payment for me. So we checked into our hotel. And I'm like, well, we can't stay here long, Lord. You got to make something happen. But they had a check for me. So it made our trip more peaceful. That was an unrealistic circumstance that God brought us through because we were willing to trust him with the instructions. There will be times in your life God will tell you to do things that don't make sense. but you got to trust him. Why? Because we don't have the wisdom. He has all wisdom. Sometimes you got to trust God when he gives you ridiculous instructions, because we serve a God that will give you ridiculous results. And you'll be so grateful that you listen. Last thing I'll share with you before I let you go is this. Anything you want to achieve in life that you're not achieving now, the distance between where you are and where you want to be next is either a wisdom gap or a faith gap. Somewhere, someone has the wisdom, God has the wisdom, or he's put someone around you that has the wisdom that you need to get to your next. Or you have the wisdom, but you need to apply the faith. Faith is the substance of the things you hope for next, and the evidence of the things that you don't see right now. So let me encourage you. Understand clearly what's next. Get the wisdom you need. Stay in tune with God. Trust him. Make small, smart steps toward your next. Close the wisdom gap. Close the faith gap. And I'll see you at next. See you next time.